Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to the JAKIB Halftime Show here on JAKIB Sports. Eagles versus Broncos right now. First half is in the books. Your Philadelphia Eagles have the lead 10-3 right now at halftime. Jalen Hurts is 13-19 for 138 yards. Excuse me, let me turn off the music. Sorry about that. Jalen Hurts is 13-19 for 138 yards and a touchdown out there. Saquon Barkley, 5 carries for 30 yards. And how about DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown both getting involved early and often here? DeVonta Smith caught a big 52-yard shot play, and what we all expected might be another what they call coward's draw. We've gotten used to them this year. They don't go for it. It was, I think, 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 16, and they throw a deep ball to DeVonta Smith. A beautiful catch and throw there from Jalen Hurts to DeVonta Smith. I'll say this, it's 10-3. It feels like the Eagles are more in control than the score would lead. They get the ball here after halftime, so we'll see obviously what it looks like here in the second half. But they're passing the ball well, they're running the ball pretty well, and their defense is playing well, obviously. Bo Nix is really struggling out there. J.K. Dobbins, just 7 carries for 28 yards. I wrote down a couple things. I'll read them off to you guys. Azeez Ojulari, boy, he showed up today. He looks good. Jalen Hurts looks good with throwing the football today. I mentioned the no coward's draw leads to a 52-yard shot play to DeVonta Smith. How about that touchdown drive, guys? A 90-yard touchdown drive, and it really was done largely through the air. They obviously had the 52-yard play. Then they had the deep throw to A.J. Brown where they called the pass interference on Pat Surtain, and then an easy walk-in touchdown for Dallas Goedert. That ball was put on the money by Jalen Hurts. Landon Dickerson, guys, is out of this game. I didn't see him return. I'm pretty sure the Eagles put up that he was questionable. So I'll see about that. But Brett Toth has held his own for the most part, but maybe has something to do with the run game still not fully getting going. Just 41 rushing yards in the first half. Jalen Hurts, 1 carry for -1 yards. You won't see that very often. I'll take a couple super chats. John McMullen should join me as well on the halftime show, assuming the internet holds. But 10-3, feels like the Birds are still in control. I do have Johnny Mack. Big Marsh says, what now? We didn't score enough points in the half. Brown not getting enough targets. Let's go to John McMullen as he joins me right here on the JAKIB Halftime Show. Johnny Mack, you got me, brother?
Yeah, you got me?
Yep, I got you, man. First half, 10-3, Eagles lead. John, what'd you see out there?
You know, a little bit of what I expected. Obviously, you know, A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, the old mentality of the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So you saw a lot of targets, a lot of receptions. Big 52-yard go route to DeVonta. Then the interception not the interception, the defensive pass interference on Patrick Surtain got him down basically near the goal line, 2 yards to Dallas Goedert. So that sequence is obviously the real big turning point because that 52-yard go route, that was on 3rd and 17. So really poor job by the Denver defense in that circumstance. You know, Bo Nix against Vic Fangio, it's kind of what I've been talking about all week. I like that matchup. He looked confused, especially on 3rd downs. Very uncomfortable. And as you saw the half go on, just not much offensively from the Denver Broncos. I also thought the Eagles' offensive line, even though lost Landon Dickerson for most of that half with an ankle injury, I thought they held up very well in the pass rush. Lane Johnson on Jonathan Cooper specifically really, really locked it up. You're going to see 3 sacks on the stat sheet, but not meaningful sacks. Jalen Hurts scrambling.
Yeah, total of 5 yards.
Yeah.
Total of 5 yards on those 3 sacks.
So not real. We talk about the context of sacks all the time. So not real dominating sacks where you look at on the other side, Denver in a 3-3 game at that point in field goal range. Bo Nix takes, I believe it was a 13-yard sack by Zadarius Smith to kick him out of field goal range. So big difference in sacks. And that's why you have to look at them contextually.
Yep. John, what do you know about Landon Dickerson? He went out of the game. I did not believe I saw him return, if I'm not mistaken. Any update further on Landon so far?
No, he left the game. I did see him on the trainer's table, getting his ankle and foot taped up really, really significantly. Never returned to the game. So he's dealing with an ankle injury. Frank Calcaterra with an oblique. So both of those guys were listed as questionable to return. But in the case of Landon, Brett Toth finished the half. So right now it's not looking good, but he might come out after, Landon Dickerson. It wouldn't surprise me if he comes out after halftime and tries to go. But at some point, now you're talking back, you're talking knee, now you're talking ankle.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been performing up to his standard to begin with. And the way the Denver offense is playing, maybe you can afford to get a little bit of respite for him, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, no doubt about it there. John, what are you seeing on the defense, man? I'll tell you this. Azeez Ojulari is jumping off the screen a little bit. Why has he been scratched for 4 weeks? And also, I think Ringo's held his own well today. What have you seen from the defensive side, John?
Yeah, well, I do think Keely Ringo's holding up well, but it continues, amazes me. Early in the game, they're throwing at Quinyon Mitchell, not Keely Ringo. They did have a big 20-yard reception. I thought that was, they threw a flag late in the half. I thought they were going to get Keely for pass interference. That would have been a brutal call just from the standpoint of, I don't think it was interference, but the ball was nowhere near the receiver on top of that.
And that would have been a backbreaker. Yeah, they would have gotten points.
Yeah, I think they did a good job picking that up, and they did do that. So I think he's holding up well. As I mentioned, he gave up that 120-yard reception, but they're not really challenging him. And look, I hate to pick on him, but I'm not surprised at all that Bo Nix is struggling in this game.
Yeah, they're 1 of 8, John, on third down. They're struggling.
Yeah, third down has been particularly difficult for him, and that's when Vic sort of ramps it up and throws the exotic looks and the exotic coverages, and he's just not really deciphering what's in front of him. I got to finish it up now offensively again. You talk about DeVonta and AJ getting involved, but it feels like the Eagles should still have more. There are still times when the ball doesn't seem to be coming out on time. Saquon, not as heavy a Saquon game, but he is a little bit more effective running the football. He is over that 5-yard mark, so at least that's a positive. But it feels like they should be ahead a little bit more than 10-3. But boy, at the same time, I don't see how Denver's going to get much going offensively.
Yeah, I agree with you, John, no doubt. 22 of their 30 offensive plays, John, were passing plays in the first half. We've had 2 straight weeks of the tale of 2 halves, John. What are we looking at? What are you expecting here in this second half?
Yeah, I mean, more of the same from the Denver offense, because I just don't think, I say it all the time. Give me a young quarterback versus Vic Fangio. I'll take Vic every single day of the week. And I think that's what's going on. Eagles offense remains a work in progress. You see signs a little bit better. Obviously, DeVonta and AJ both getting the football, so that's positive. But you gotta translate that to more points and more consistency. So, but to be honest, as I've kind of said, I think that's going to be a struggle all season. I just think it is. It's just not a consistent offense right now.
Yeah. Johnny Mac, thank you, brother. Appreciate you joining in here on the JAKIB Halftime Show. We'll talk to you on the post-game show.
All right, thanks.
All right, thanks, John. There's Johnny Mac. John McMullen joining us here. Follow him at JF McMullen, the #1 Eagles beat reporter. A couple other things I wanted to mention, guys. Bo Nix, John just mentioned it. He is struggling. 10 of 21, 79 yards. Kind of looks like he's just not reading the field, and give Vic Fangio a lot of credit for that. I'll also point out Jalen was 13 and 19 for 138 and a touchdown out there. He had a beautiful deep throw to DeVonta Smith. How about that deep throw as well to Jahan Dotson? Dotson was a smidge out of bounds, and he even almost had that initial foot down, which I think is what Sirianni was going for when he challenged. But I thought that was a great throw and a great catch. Obviously ruled out, I understand, but a great catch there by Jahan Dotson. So it's good to see the passing game working in a little bit. I did want to mention that play, though. So good stuff there. You got to keep our eye on, obviously, the injuries in this game. I think it's about time Landon Dickerson maybe just get some rest. I mean, yeah, as John mentioned, you got knee, you got ankle, you got back, I mean, it's only a matter of time until the body's completely broken down. So I think Landon not coming back in this game might be more of a blessing than a curse, considering I think the Eagles are in good position here. Now, I did mention the tale of two halves has persisted the last 2 weeks. I'm not going to speak out of line here on the halftime show. Folks, I've learned my lesson. I've learned my lesson. I will not come on halftime shows and go too far one way or the other because I have no idea what the second half will hold. In many cases, it looks entirely different than the first half. So we will see. I do think Jalen Hurts looks sharp out there. I like getting the ball to A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith. Calcaterra, I believe, was hurt and questionable to return. I'm not sure if he will be back in the football game. I think they're going to have more running in the second half. Maybe they come out here, get a touchdown on this opening drive. That would be big and would probably put you in a good position to be able to run the football, in the second half, manage that clock and do what they have to do. So we'll see how they come out. Defensively, I do think they've been strong. How good is Cooper DeJean and how good is Quinyon Mitchell? I mean, those two guys are just really, really, really good football players, man. They're great in coverage. They're aggressive. They're physical, not afraid to tackle. Cooper DeJean tackling in the open field. It's like, don't throw to Cooper DeJean in the open field if you want to try and get yards after the catch. Let me read some supers here. Brody, what's up, Brody? Let's hope that was our bad half. Brody, I don't know. That was not a bad half, I didn't think. Not explosive or too great, but I thought it was a solid half of football. Dobers Army, what's up, Dobers? That's why you don't give up on third and long and run some BS draw play, KP. I agree, Dobers. They went for it a couple times there on third down and long, which I like. Big Marsh says, what now? We didn't score enough points in the half. Brown not getting enough targets. Big Marsh, what are you looking for something to bitch at? Welcome to the city of Philadelphia, Big Marsh. Scott Squaw, what's up, Scott? That throw to Dotson yes, it was, man. We just mentioned that. That was a really good throw, man. And by the way, that was a good catch by Dotson. Kind of slipped away from the defender subtly at the last second. Almost had both those feet in. Caught the ball with grace. I mean, that was a nice throw and a nice catch. I wish he was in bounds. Simo said, Hurts throwing darts, putting them in the bucket. Yes, he is, man. Jalen Hurts throwing the ball downfield he has really got a good knack for it, man. Just a good feel, a good touch. I do think that DeVonta Smith ball was just a smidge underthrown because it felt like DeVonta really had to step on him. But that was a deep throw, man. That was a 52-yard completion. So there's no doubt that was a cannon down the field. But overall, they are moving the ball well. We'll see. We will see what the second half brings. 3 sacks for Hurts, but as John pointed out, kind of a weak 2 sacks there, 2 of the 3. So 3 sacks for a total of 5 yards. The Eagles how about that sack, by the way, by the Eagles? Zadarius Smith on that play, man. They I'm blanking on what they call that, but Jalen Carter cuts in. Zadarius Smith just explodes through the middle of the Broncos offensive line and just immediately sacks Bo Nix, minus 13 yards, man. Minus 13 yards, and that knocked him out of field goal position. And that was after, by the way, Bo Nix overshot Sheffield. Hey, thank you, Daz, a stunt. That was after Bo Nix overshot him. So they missed out on 7 with the overthrow. Then they missed out on 3 because of the 13-yard sack. That was massive play. So second half's kicking off now. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit the like button. Go tune into the green zone for the rest of the game. We'll see you guys on the halftime show.
EAGLES, Eagles.